Ladies and gentlemen, what we have today is a note sheet to help us learn how to verify a solution to an equation. Verifying is really just a fancy word for checking. We want to check to see if the answers we've got are correct. So before we get into our solving equations unit anymore, we have to make sure we're very good at checking or verifying a solution. So on your note sheet, you're eventually going to cut here on this dotted line, but not until we're finished filling it out. This will allow you to tape this half on one page and this half on the other page of your notebook. So to begin, we need to know that when we substitute the value of our variable into the equation, that it actually works and it makes sense mathematically. So substitute is the first important word that we're going to use. And then we're going to use order of operations. You know the order of operations is the correct way to calculate problems in math. This will give us a value on each side of our equation. Remember, equal signs are in equations. So what happens is if both sides have the same value, it means that our equation is balanced. Think about a teeter-totter and how you want to stay balanced on a teeter-totter so that you can still go up and down on both sides. If you do not have a balanced equation, in other words, you don't have the same value on both sides, then you know the solution is wrong. So, for the first example, we have a solution that says x, the variable, is equal to 3.1. So we're going to do substitution two places for this problem. We're going to substitute on the left-hand side of the equal sign because we have an x there. So the best way to substitute is, in place of the x, put a parentheses to hold your value 3.1. This 4 in front of the x is what we're going to use to multiply in a little bit. I'm just going to bring down the 5.9. I'm going to bring down the equal sign. And on this side, I'm going to create parentheses again to hold the value of 3.1. And then I'm going to be ready to do some math. This is where using order of operations comes into place. Again, this is just the substitution step. And now we're going to move into the multiplying stage because we have order of operations. And of course, we do our multiplying before we do our subtraction. And then on this side, we're going to do our multiplying before we do our addition. So 4 times 3.1 is going to be 12.4. And I'm just going to jot this down so I can keep it nice and balanced. On this side, 2 times 3.1 is going to be 6.2. So to finish the work, I'm going to work on this side first. 6.2 plus another 0.3 is going to give us 6.5. And on this side, if I very carefully subtract, you got to do some renaming here. It turns out we also get the value 6.5. So guys, it's balanced on both sides. And typically when you're doing a check or you're verifying a solution, you want to see that it is balanced. And that's how we know that yes, the solution to this equation really is that x equals 3.1. Now for our second example, we have to verify the solution of y equaling 1/4. So we used a different variable here in this equation, but that's okay because we like to change variables depending on what we're doing. So 1/4 is the value that we're going to substitute into our equation. Again, we have two places to substitute. In this case, we have to put it right here next to the 8. And then on the other side of the equation, we have to put it right here next to the y. Remember that the relationship between those coefficients, this 4 attached to y means you're taking 4 times y, and this coefficient of 8 times y means you're multiplying 8 times y. So we'll put our little dots to remind us that yes, there is multiplication that has to be done. And now we move on to the second stage because we're done substituting. Now we can actually do some of our math. 8 times 1/4 is the same thing as 8 divided by 4. That gives us 2. On this side, we have to do the multiplication first also. 4 times 1/4, or 4 divided by 4, gives us 1. Now I think you can see we start to have an issue here with this problem because are we going to get 2 on this side of the equation if we finish doing our math? You're right, we're not. We are not going to get equal values on both sides of this equation. So we're going to use this symbol that means not equal. We're putting a slash through the equal sign. And what this tells us is that no, the solution is not 1/4 for this equation. So sometimes we have a solution that is correct, and we're happy about that. But in this case, we're not. You could do a little frown face if you want, okay? But understanding how to verify a solution is going to help us out a lot in our next unit on solving equations. So those are the steps. Substitute, do your order of operations, and see if both sides are balanced. This is definitely not balanced, and that's why the solution, they gave us the wrong answer. And that's okay, because right now we're just practicing identifying when it's right or wrong. So the other half of your note sheet has got 3 more examples to it. And the one thing I will say about this before I have you pause the video is that sometimes an equation has places on both sides of the equation where you substitute because of the variable here and the variable here. In your next couple examples, we don't have variables on the both sides. So this side is just -14. So you're going to keep that side -14 as you do the work on this side. So you're still going to substitute. All right, you're still going to do your order of operations, but what's going to happen is you'll only be really working on this side of the equation. The other side stays -14 in this case. In this case, it stays -36. So what I would like you to do is pause the video here. You are going to continue on with number 3, number 4, and number 5 to see if you can verify those solutions and determine whether that solution really does work or if it doesn't. When you're done trying them on your own, you're going to click play again and you're going to check your answers. Good luck. All right, I hope you worked through those 3 questions and now you can check your answers. Again, substitution in this equation only happens right here because that's the only place we found a z. So when you substitute, 9 goes in, you still have the parentheses with the +1. And you still have this negative sign out front and the -4. Again, 14, this -14 stays. And then you're going to start doing your order of operations. We always do the math inside the parentheses, so that's where we get 10. However, this negative sign means we're dealing with a -10. So -10 minus 4, if you want to do your keep, change, like you learned, this is going to continue to give us -14, which we realize, hey, I had -14 on the other side. That is a good balanced equation. So we say yes, this is the solution to the equation. For number 4, we have 2 places that we're substituting our given solution. So A is going to be replaced by +5. So we have this -6 that will get multiplied against the 5, and then we also have this +2 that gets multiplied. The right-hand side of the equation just has a -36 with nothing to sub into. So if we do some work, -6 times 5 is -30. 2 times 5 is 10. When you combine those, you do get -20. And we know -20 is not equal to -36. So we know that A cannot equal 5 in this example. There must be a different answer. Last question, number 4. They want us to check the solution, x equals 4, or verify. So -4 is outside the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we've replaced x with 4. So when you start your order of operations, 4 plus 6 is 10. -4 times 10, remember that -4 is attached to the parentheses by multiplying. So eventually with this problem, we get to multiply, and you see that it's balanced. So yes, the correct solution does equal 4. The idea is here, guys, that we get really good at verifying our solutions or checking our solutions, because then when we start solving equations, we will know by checking or verifying if we have the correct solutions or not. So remember, you're going to take your note sheet now. You're going to grab a pair of scissors so you can cut down this dotted line, and then you're going to tape this into your notebook. And if you have any questions, make sure you see me.